Hey guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. I'm going to really try not to move my arms as much as I normally do when I talk. So in today's video, I am going to show you guys how I made this Grinch-inspired sweater from the live-action movie with Jim Carrey. I actually made this sweater over 5 years ago, and it has held up pretty good. I did notice right when I started filming that my little eye fell off at some point. It's probably on my staircase or something right now. But again, this sweater is 5 years old, and I could literally just hot glue it back on once I find it. The sweater that I'm actually going to be showing you guys how I made is the one that I made for my friend Rowan over at the Disney Damsels. I recreated this sweater for her because she also is a huge fan of the Grinch, and I gave it to her in our Christmas in July box swap. I will have that video linked in the description box below if you want to check it out after watching how to recreate the sweater yourself. I am going to walk you guys through not only how did I make the sweater, but how did I make it light up. So my sweater actually is not as good as Rowan's sweater, not gonna lie. Mine has this ginormous battery pack that I did not know where to put, so I usually just tuck it in my back pocket when I wear the sweater. Rowan's, I actually figured out how to hide the battery pack in the sweater so that she doesn't have to worry about that. I also do not have the lights poking out on hers. They're hidden a little bit better, and they just kind of are more seamless because honestly in 5 years these little LED lights have improved so much. So without further ado, let's get into the tutorial.
So we will be starting by making the Christmas tree, and you're going to want a very large piece of green felt. I actually just got some felt cut at Hobby Lobby, but I have done this in the past with just the very large sheets of felt that you can buy pre-cut. And I am just freehanding my Christmas tree using the disappearing ink pen that I like to get from the sewing section at Walmart. I did pull up a reference photo and I just typed in Grinch tree and just kind of went off what it looked like in that picture. But you're going to start with the green one because it is the underlayer, and you're going to want this, or sorry, it is the top layer, and you're going to want the red one to be a little bit larger. So if you if you draw the green one first, then you're able to use it to form your red layer. I hope I'm making sense. So once you have that, you're going to cut it out and then lay it on top of your red felt. And then you're going to kind of trace it, but not right up against the line. You're going to add a little bit of space because, again, you will be double layering these, and you want to be able to see the red one. You don't want it to like perfectly line up underneath the green one because that would defeat the purpose of doing this. For some reason, my fabric marker was not showing up on the red felt, so I did switch to using a black pen, mostly so that you guys could see it on camera a little bit better. But if you look here, I did just kind of, again, freehand this. The good thing about this tree is that because it's kind of wonky looking, it does not need to be perfect when you draw it. And then once you have the red tree cut out, you're going to move on to making the heart. I just folded my fabric in half, and then using that edge, I'm going to draw half of a heart and then cut it out. Obviously, this helps keep your heart symmetrical instead of trying to freehand a heart that is symmetrical on both sides, which I can't do. And then I am going onto this yellow felt and tracing out my letters. The reason that I put the heart on it is because of sizing. I wanted to make sure that my letters are like the appropriate size in comparison to my heart. So I am just freehanding the letter I and then the word Xmas with a hyphen in the middle because that is what it says on his sweater. Again, your letters really don't need to be perfect. In fact, I think they look a little bit more Seussical-y and Grinch-like when they are not perfect. Go ahead and cut those out. And then next I will be drawing the star for the top of my Christmas tree. Again, I'm just using a reference photo and freehanding this. If you're nervous about this at all, you could also start on paper, and then once you have it exactly how you want it, you could cut out the paper and use the paper as a template. After I've cut out the yellow star, I am placing it down on my red felt and outlining it because, again, there is a red outline around the entire tree, and this was just kind of my way of breaking it up to where it's a little bit easier to cut out and fit on the sweatshirt. And now that you have all of these pieces cut out, you're going to start assembling them. So I just went ahead and used hot glue. You could use fabric glue for this, but I'm impatient and I don't want to wait on things to dry. So I used a hot glue gun, which worked totally fine because this is felt. Do start with the very top layers and then kind of work your way down. So I started with the letters, the top of the star and the heart, and then moved on to gluing down the green tree to the red tree. So now that the tree is all assembled with all of its pieces, you're going to go ahead and attach it to the sweatshirt. Again, I am just doing that using my hot glue gun. I'm starting at the very top of the star and lining that up just underneath the neckline of the sweatshirt. My tree was very, very large. So if you're not wanting your tree to take up pretty much the whole sweatshirt, I would size it down a little bit from what you saw me do. And then I'm just seeing if there's any places where I did need to hot glue down a little bit more just to make sure that everything is nice and secure. And I'm just working my way down the tree. So working my way back up toward the top, I am going to not attach that last section of the tree because that is where I will be hiding my light switch pack. So I'm just gluing down a little bit but leaving a pocket there essentially. I am going to stuff my pocket because this is going to help the light switch pack not fall down into the tree. This is totally optional. You don't have to stuff it. I just thought it made the light switch pack a little bit more secure, but I am going to actually glue down the light switch pack. Just make sure the part that you glue down is not the part that you need to be able to pull off to change the batteries because you want to be able to swap the batteries out. And then you can just firmly press that down underneath that kind of little pocket that you created. You don't necessarily have to glue the pack down. I think that with the stuffing inside, it could just sit on top. But again, I was sending this to someone, so I wanted to make sure that she didn't have to worry about the pack sliding into the tree. So next we're going to actually string the lights around the tree. I am going ahead and shoving down the wire that's not like the lit part of the wire, it's just like normal cord into the tree. And then where my first light begins, I'm going to put on the first point of the tree, and that is my goal is to every time there's a point on the tree, I'm placing one of the lights on that point, and then I just glue it into place. So I do want to give you guys kind of a close-up of what I'm doing. When I glued down the tree, I did not do it on the very edge. I kind of left a little bit of a lip on the felt so that I could hide the wire of the light underneath it and then just glue it down on top. I hope I'm making sense. It probably is easier, honestly, to watch what I'm doing. And then I just continued this all the way around the tree and then going back up toward the star. Now for the heart, what I did is I actually peeled up the green tree a little bit, so you might not want to glue this part down, and then I poked a hole through the green part of the tree, not the red part, and then I actually just laced the rest of my lights through the felt so that I was able to line the heart without the wire being seen. And then I'm just going ahead and gluing back down the green part of the tree. And next I'm going to start stringing these lights around the heart. I am going to tell you guys in a moment, you're going to see, I just felt like I made this a little bit too messy. The glue kind of got everywhere. So I do end up lighting the entire heart and then covering it up with a larger heart. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute, but I would just be really extra careful on this part. I think it's because when I glued down the heart, I didn't leave that lip of felt fabric like I did with the tree, so there was nowhere for the lights to hide. They just kind of had to sit like on the outside of the heart. It honestly looks fine on the camera, but close up I just felt like it was kind of too messy. So continuing on, I'm going to show you how I fixed it after it did get too messy. So this is what it looked like, if you guys can see all that hot glue mess. Obviously not going to send that to somebody, so I did cut out a larger heart and I am just applying a little bit of hot glue, and I'm starting at the top and then kind of working my way down with the glue to avoid it getting too messy. And I do think that this turned out just as cute. I actually kind of almost like it more because it reminds me of a Grinch doll that I have, where when you press his hand, his heart lights up from like small to large, because, you know, his heart grew 3 sizes that day. To finish off the star, I am adding some little purple gemstones onto the points of the star, just like the one that he wears in the movie, has these little kind of rhinestones. Next, we are going to add the stripes for the sleeves. So I found this large wide ribbon at Hobby Lobby. It's 2 inches in width, and I'm going to start by applying a line of hot glue on the seam of the sleeve that's underneath your arm, and that is where I'm going to firmly press down the ribbon to start. I am going to zoom in just so you guys can see this a little bit better. And what I'm doing is wrapping the ribbon around the sleeve but keeping the sleeve flat because I don't want it to restrict the size of the sleeve and make it look bunched up. And then I'm applying a little bit of hot glue to the edge of the ribbon, folding it over and pressing it down. I am going to tack this in place. If you don't know what that means, basically I'm just putting down a little hot dot of hot glue to keep it from shifting around and moving while I'm working. I do go back and just add a thin line of hot glue and just kind of press down the ribbon, but it is always better with hot glue to work in sections as opposed to doing a lot at once. The next step is going to be adding the bells. I got this little container of Jingle bells for $2.50 at Hobby Lobby because they were half off, and I am adding 2 to the top of the sleeve. I will also add 2 to the bottom, 2 on the front, and then 2 on the back. So every single stripe in total will need 8 bells. You can also get Jingle bells at Dollar Tree, but I will tell you, you get a lot more for your money if you buy a large pack at a craft store. Hobby Lobby and Michael's are doing their 50% off of Christmas right now, so I would highly encourage you to pick them up there, because at Dollar Tree you're only going to get maybe like 20 in a pack, and I don't think that's going to cover the whole sweater. So this is what the first sleeve looked like once I had all of the stripes on and all of the bells. To space the stripes, I honestly didn't use a science for it. I just kind of eyeballed it. There is about a 2.5-inch gap between the first stripe and the second stripe, and then from there it's more of a 2-inch distance between each stripe. And now to do the second sleeve, I am actually using the first sleeve as a kind of a guide of where to place my stripes. So I folded my sweater in half, and then I am using it to kind of show me where to put my first stripe. I did this to make sure that my sleeves were symmetrical. I do think that if I had just eyeballed the second sleeve, it probably would have been really obvious that it was not matching. So I would encourage you to do it this way just so that you know where each of the stripes goes. And if you don't want to keep the sweater folded while you're working, you can also use a disappearing fabric marker and mark where each stripe goes. After that, you're just going to continue and repeat that for the next sleeve, and that's the last step. Now you have your own light up Grinch sweater, and is there anything more festive than that? Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out my other Vlogmas videos, and I will see you tomorrow for my next video in Vlogmas. Bye guys.